Dread. It is a word that sends a shiver down the spine, a word that conjures unease, tension, and avoidance. Most people spend their lives trying to escape dread. They distract themselves, ignore it, or hope it disappears. But the truth is that dread is not a curse. It is not a weakness. It is one of the most potent forces that can propel you toward greatness if you learn to harness it. Dread, in its raw and uncomfortable form, is an indicator that something significant is at stake. It is a signal that the stakes are high, that change is imminent, that your life is teetering on the edge of possibility. To be driven by dread is not to be paralyzed by fear. It is to let it light a fire inside you, to let it awaken a force that pushes you to act, to grow, and to rise above the ordinary. Every human being experiences dread. It is part of our wiring. It appears when we confront uncertainty, when we face responsibility, when we are asked to move beyond the comfort of the familiar. It is that uneasy feeling in the pit of your stomach, that whisper that says, what if you fail? What if you fall? What if you can't handle it? Dread is uncomfortable, yes, but is also honest. It does not lie. It does not sugarcoat reality. It is raw truth, a signal that something matters deeply to you, that your life, your choices, and your potential are all on the line. Most people run from this signal. Most people turn away from dread and settle for safety, routine, and mediocrity. But you, the person listening to this right now, are being invited to confront dread and allow it to drive you to heights you never imagined. Dread is a mirror. It reflects back to us the things we care about most, the areas of our lives that demand attention, courage, and action. When you feel dread, pay attention to it. Ask yourself what it is pointing to. It is easy to dismiss dread as negative emotion, as something to be ignored, as something that must be suppressed. But those who achieve greatness, who push boundaries, who leave a mark on the world, understand that dread is a guide. It reveals where we are resisting growth, where we are afraid to take responsibility, where we are avoiding the hard work that precedes transformation. Dread does not arrive randomly. It arrives because there is something vital for you to do, something urgent for you to face, something life-altering waiting on the other side of discomfort. Think of the moments in your life when dread appeared suddenly, uninvited, unavoidable. Maybe it was the night before an important exam, the hours before a critical presentation, the moments before taking a leap of faith into something unknown. Dread is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that you are alive. It is a sign that you are standing at the threshold of possibility. It is a sign that something monumental is about to happen. Most people shrink from these moments, but the ones who achieve greatness recognize that these moments are sacred opportunities. Dread is not something to escape. It is a signal to act, a signal to engage, a signal to be fully present in the intensity of life itself. To be driven by dread is to take that uneasy feeling and use it as fuel. It is to let the nervous energy, the tension, the anticipation, and even the fear of failure push you forward instead of holding you back. When you allow dread to motivate action, it transforms from a paralyzing force into a powerful engine of productivity, creativity, and courage. Every moment of dread contains potential energy. It contains the raw material of growth. The person who runs from dread wastes this energy, letting it dissipate in worry or distraction. The person who is driven by dread channels it, shapes it, and converts it into relentless momentum toward their goals. Dread is an intimate teacher. It teaches you where you are afraid to stretch, where you have hidden weaknesses, and where your potential is untapped. It forces you to confront yourself, to ask hard questions. What am I avoiding? What am I scared of? What am I willing to risk to become the person I want to be? These questions are uncomfortable because they demand honesty. Dread does not allow for excuses, for rationalizations, or for denial. It confronts you with the reality of your life, and it asks one fundamental question: will you rise, or will you shrink? Every act of courage begins with this question. Every breakthrough, every triumph, every extraordinary moment begins with a choice to face dread head on. Consider the lives of those who have left a mark on history. Every person who achieved something remarkable, who changed the world, who defied the odds, experienced dread in some form. They felt it in their chest, in their mind, in their very bones. They felt the doubt, the uncertainty, the weight of responsibility, and the fear of failure. But they did not let dread defeat them. They allowed it to drive them, to sharpen their focus, to ignite their determination. Dread became their ally, their catalyst, their fuel. They understood something fundamental. Dread is not the enemy of achievement. It is the companion of it. The question is not whether you will feel dread, but whether you will let it propel you forward or hold you back. Being driven by dread also means embracing discomfort as a teacher. Life does not reward comfort. Life rewards those who are willing to endure, to struggle, to confront the unknown, and to act despite uncertainty. Dread is the signal that discomfort is present. It is a reminder that growth is underway. When you feel dread, do not retreat. Lean into it. Ask yourself what it is trying to teach you. Use it as a measuring stick for your ambition. The intensity of your dread often correlates with the magnitude of your potential. The more you feel it, the more opportunity you have to rise. Those who achieve the extraordinary do not avoid dread. They harness it, they master it, they let it drive them to levels others cannot reach. Dread also builds resilience. Every time you face a moment of dread and act anyway, you expand your capacity to handle challenges. You become stronger, wiser, and more capable. You develop the mental fortitude to navigate uncertainty, the courage to act when stakes are high, and the perseverance to endure when outcomes are uncertain. Life will always present moments of dread. There will always be uncertainty, risk, and challenge. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is not the absence of dread, but the ability to let dread fuel action rather than paralyze it. To be driven by dread is to develop a superpower, the power to act decisively and effectively even in the presence of fear. It is essential to understand that dread is not just about fear of failure. It is the fear of wasted potential, the fear of unfulfilled dreams, the fear of looking back and realizing you did not live fully. This type of dread is profound because it strikes at the core of who you are. It is the dread of mediocrity, the dread of regret, the dread of a life unlived. This is the dread that should motivate you more than anything else. It is not about avoiding pain or discomfort. It is about refusing to settle for less than what you are capable of achieving. To be driven by dread is to honor your potential, to respect your dreams, and to act with urgency and purpose in every moment of your life. Many people mistake dread for a sign that they should stop, that they should retreat, that they are not ready. But the opposite is often true. Dread is a sign that you are on the verge of something significant. It is a sign that you are pushing the boundaries of your comfort, challenging the familiar and stepping into the unknown. The moments that bring the most dread are often the moments that lead to the greatest breakthroughs. When you feel dread, it is a signal that you are alive, that you are stretching, that you are moving toward growth and transformation. To be driven by dread is to recognize that this discomfort is not a barrier but a bridge to greatness. Action is the antidote to dread. Every time dread arises, the most powerful response is to act. Take the first step, no matter how small. Move forward even if uncertainty looms. Begin before you feel ready. The very act of engaging with dread, of confronting it through action, transforms it. What once seemed paralyzing becomes manageable. What once seemed insurmountable becomes a challenge to overcome. Dread is energy, and action is the mechanism that channels that energy into results. Those who succeed do not wait for fear or dread to vanish. They act while it exists, and in the process, they turn dread into momentum. Dread can also inspire creativity and innovation. When you feel it, your mind sharpens, your focus intensifies, and your imagination expands. The pressure of dread forces you to think differently, to explore new solutions, and to act in ways you never thought possible. Some of the most remarkable achievements in history have emerged from moments of profound dread when individuals were pushed to the limits of their endurance, clarity, and ingenuity. Dread, when harnessed, becomes a crucible for brilliance, a forge for ingenuity, a catalyst for extraordinary accomplishment. To be driven by dread is to live intentionally. It is to recognize that life is finite, that opportunities are fleeting, and that time waits for no one. Dread reminds us that we cannot afford to waste a single moment, a single breath, a single opportunity. It demands that we take ownership of our lives, that we act with urgency, that we embrace risk, and that we push ourselves beyond self-imposed limitations. Dread is a call to arms, a summons to awaken to the power within us, to mobilize every ounce of strength, focus, and determination we possess. At the core, dread is a test of character. It asks whether you are willing to face uncertainty, challenge, and responsibility with courage. It asks whether you are willing to act even when the outcome is unknown. It asks whether you are willing to endure discomfort to achieve something meaningful. Every encounter with dread is an opportunity to prove to yourself that you are stronger than hesitation, braver than doubt, and more capable than fear. Those who allow dread to drive them cultivate resilience, courage, and purpose. Those who shrink from it remain trapped in mediocrity, watching life pass them by. You may wonder, how do you practically become driven by dread? It starts with awareness. Notice when dread arises. Understand its source. Reflect on what it reveals about your priorities, ambitions, and values. Then take action. Break the overwhelming into manageable steps. Begin with what is within your control. Commit to progress, no matter how incremental. Over time, the habit of acting in the presence of dread rewires your mind, building courage, determination, and unstoppable momentum. The more you practice, the more empowered you become, and the less you are controlled by hesitation. Dread also teaches humility. It reminds us that life is unpredictable, that outcomes are uncertain, and that we are not omnipotent. But humility does not mean inaction. Humility paired with action creates wisdom. When you recognize the limits of your control yet commit fully to effort, you navigate life with clarity, focus, and resilience. Dread teaches patience, discernment, and strategic courage. Those who master it are not reckless. They are deliberate, intentional, and unstoppable. Being driven by dread also amplifies gratitude. When you confront the fragility of life, the impermanence of opportunity, and the uncertainty of outcomes, you come to appreciate every moment, every effort, every small victory. Dread, paradoxically, heightens your awareness of the beauty, potential, and significance of life. It transforms urgency into purpose, discomfort into resolve, and anxiety into action. Those who harness dread learn to live fully, to love deeply, to work tirelessly, and to pursue their dreams relentlessly. At the end of the day, life will always present moments of dread. Challenges, risks, unknowns. They will never disappear. But those who are driven by dread do not wait for certainty or safety. They act, they persist, they grow. They harness the energy of dread and turn it into fuel for achievement, transformation, and greatness. Every moment of dread is an opportunity to rise, to prove yourself, to step closer to the life you are capable of living. You, right now, have the capacity to let dread drive you, to let it sharpen your focus, ignite your courage, and awaken your potential. To let it propel you into action, not paralysis. To let it shape your character, fortify your resilience, and accelerate your progress. Dread is inevitable, but being driven by dread is a choice, a conscious decision to transform discomfort, uncertainty, and fear into unstoppable power. Every step you take while feeling dread, every action you take despite hesitation is a victory. Every moment you confront dread and move forward is a testament to your courage, strength, and determination. Those who embrace dread become unstoppable. They turn uncertainty into opportunity, fear into fuel, and anxiety into momentum. Life's greatest rewards are reserved for those who are willing to move forward in the face of dread, to act when the stakes are high, and to persist when outcomes are uncertain. So, the next time dread comes knocking, do not shy away. Do not suppress it. Do not hope it will disappear. Listen to it. Understand it. Let it drive you. Let it push you beyond your limits. Let it ignite the fire within you. Let it remind you of what matters, of what is possible, of what you are capable of achieving. Dread is not your enemy. Dread is your engine. Dread is the force that can drive you to greatness, to fulfillment, and to a life fully lived. Remember, to be driven by dread is to live intentionally, courageously, and without compromise. It is to embrace the discomfort, to act despite uncertainty, to harness the tension of life itself and transform it into momentum. It is to rise when others fall back, to persevere when others give up, and to achieve what others only dream of. Dread is inevitable, but greatness is optional, and those who choose to be driven by dread will discover a power, a strength, and a capacity within themselves that is limitless, unstoppable, and extraordinary. You are capable of greatness. You are capable of courage. You are capable of harnessing dread and transforming it into action, growth, and achievement. Let dread fuel your ambition, sharpen your focus, and ignite your determination. Let it drive you past fear, past doubt, past hesitation. Let it remind you that life is fleeting, opportunities are finite, and time waits for no one. Step forward in dread. Step forward with purpose. Step forward with relentless determination. For those who are driven by dread do not merely survive, they thrive. They do not merely exist, they conquer, they create, they inspire, they achieve. And so can you. Let dread be your guide, your teacher, your motivator, and your ally. Let it awaken the power within you, the courage within you, and the potential within you. Let it drive you beyond limits, beyond comfort, beyond fear itself. For in the crucible of dread lies the forge of greatness, and in the heart of dread lies the spark of transformation. Embrace it, harness it. Let it propel you to heights you never imagined. Be driven by dread and discover the extraordinary life waiting for you on the other side.